We're diving into some of the scariest plumbing encounters I've ever had. Okay? When you're a service plumber, you have a tendency of running into a lot more crazy stuff than new construction guys do because typically their jobs are pre-sold, pre-laid out, new construction. Whereas when you're a service plumber, you could be going to somebody that is one day away from being homeless and their septic tank doesn't work. Maybe they got their mom to loan them some money so they could get their toilet working. We run into people that are on drugs, marijuana grows, we're there to do service, so we end up in all kinds of crazy situations. But here's three that come to mind that I just can't get out of my head, and they're going to stick with me forever. I want to share them with you. Our first story takes me way back into my apprenticeship days. It might have even been before apprenticeship, and I can't remember, but I was working with actually one of my uncles. For those of you who don't know, I'm a third generation plumber. One of my uncles was my journeyman as I went through apprenticeship, but also I worked with him before that. Just because I'm third generation and plumbing's always around, and I'm there to help and make money when I was a kid. We were taken to the hills of Ashland, Oregon. That was a little bit of a strange job. We got called, and we get to the driveway, knock on the door, and the customer, I guess, had been really hard to schedule with, but I wasn't dealing with any of that stuff. And he said, "Yeah, just don't worry about knocking. Just call me and don't knock on the door." And he showed us to the crawl space, opened it up, and we go crawling into the depths. And he's like, "There's the tub drain that needs replaced." Now, normally we have access up and down, and we can, if we need to get above, we can. But he just didn't want us up there. Kind of weird, but people can be weird, and you just got to kind of roll with it. So Robert and I crawl under this house. We get to the tub drain, and we're working away, and it's not probably more than 5 to 6 minutes in, we hear like a shriek, like a scream from a woman, and then we hear two women screaming at the other end of the house. And at first we're kind of like looking at each other going, is this okay? Do we need to be calling the cops? Do we need to get out of here? We're not really sure what to make of it. So at first we're just quiet, and it seemed to like go away. And then we hear things breaking, more screaming. I heard like glass flying across the room, shattering, cursing. Sounded like physical abuse going on. And Robert and I are looking at each other, and like, I've got a pipe wrench. He's got a pipe wrench or a pair of channel locks, and we're thinking like, is this gonna get like physical? Like, what's going on? And so at this point, he's considering like, I probably need to call the cops because this doesn't seem normal. Now, most people probably would have already called the cops, but I would say we're kind of numb to this stuff. Like, we're not the cops. We end up in a lot of weird situations. We end up in spots where husband and wives are like borderline fighting. They may not be physical, but it's pretty like intense. And obviously if you call the cops and get in the middle of it, like, what's that make you? You know what I mean? Like, we're in the like kind of backwoods of Oregon sometimes, and there's like pot grows. I've seen people with meth shacks. You're not sure what's going to happen to you if you turn them in. So you just kind of like, whatever, let them live their life. You're going to live yours. Pay me. And so you don't know where that line's at. But anyways, we're thinking about like, maybe we need to call the cops on this one. It's getting pretty crazy. Next thing we know, there's stomping tub above us where we're working at. And they're saying, "Plumbers, get out of here. I'm going to kill you." Now, it's a woman's voice. Still sketched out though, because like I said, all we got is pipe wrenches. So I go hide by the crawl door, shut it so that it's dark in there. We cut the lights. And I'm like, if someone or something comes in here at me, I'm taking one final swing, and it might be my last swing, but I'm going out with a punch. I don't know what's going to happen. Robert's calling 911. He calls, and 911's like, "Well, what's your emergency?" And I remember he said, I just remember it was almost funny in all the chaos. He's all like, "Yes, there's a domestic violence going on, some sort of abuse or fight. altercation. He's like, we're under the house and we need the cops to come. And the lady pauses and she's, are you supposed to be under the house? I know for a fact she was thinking we were like breaking in like some thieves or robbers and we got pushed under the house and we're getting like attacked. And then after he explained we're plumbers working under the house, she was a little bit more calmed down but still kind of freaked out. Long story short, it was the longest like 13 minutes of my life, but the cops showed up, we could hear them, so we got out of there. Then we decide get out of the crawl space, go into our trucks. Come to find out, the owner was the dad of this bipolar daughter who was in her 20s, and she was extreme. And she was very violent that day. I broke a lot of family heirlooms. She actually kind of abused her mom. I think she may have broke blood or something. It was not good. Like a grown-ass woman whooping the shit out of her mom, basically. And that was a pretty intense time. That was probably up there with one of the more like scary ones we had, where it just escalated out of nowhere. And so you do want to be on your toes and just always try to, when you can, try to calm down the situation and maintain a calm presence. In this was a fluke where there's nothing you could have done that would have like changed the outcome. But typically speaking, as a plumber, you just want to stay calm. You don't want to get involved in that stuff. And if people are getting all worked up, say, hey, look, maybe we're not the right fit. We'll move on and go another way. Story number 2. I get called to this home warranty call. Hate working for home warranty companies, by the way. They don't want to cover stuff, and it's hard to get coverage. But I get called to this one, and I'm working for my dad's company at the time, long time ago. And we get called for this water heater. Get there. Didn't think anything of it at the time. The water's shut off to the house. And the water heater is sitting outside, like someone plumbed it into the outside, so it's in the elements, and it's rusted out, and it shouldn't have even been covered because it's not installed legally, and it's just rinky-dink. But I wanted to help out the customer, kind of a quiet dude, and a little odd maybe. And I talked to the insurance, the home warranty didn't ask, so I didn't say anything, got it covered, and I put in a new tank for the guy. Well, then when the install's done, you got to test it. So I go to turn the water on to fill it before turning power. No water. That's odd. Go into the breaker panel and I see the well's turned off. It's like, hey, did you turn the well off for me? He's like, oh, yeah. He kind of mumbled his way through. Okay. Flip the breaker to the well, no big deal. Nothing happened. So I go down to the wellhead. I'm not much of a well guy, especially at this time. I didn't know my way around them that well, but I'm like talking to my well buddy, like testing power. And I got power down to the wellhead, but I got nothing pumping, which is telling us that pump's probably bad. And that's a big job, and I don't do that. So I'm trying to explain it to this customer, and he's just like, I don't know if he was on drugs or what, but he didn't understand. He was starting to get worked up. I'm like, let's just call the home warranty company. So I call them, explain, and they're just kind of like, well, you're on your own, buddy. We don't cover that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but this customer thinks it's my fault. And even though he turned the water off, so it's probably an insurance scam, to be honest. But in the time, I'm younger and I'm not as experienced, and I'm kind of like, shit, this isn't good. And the insurance is like, well, tough. He's got to get a well guy out there, and we don't cover that. So, okay, so I tell the guy this, and I have them on speakerphone to reiterate it, and the guy like starts freaking out, like going ballistic. You did this to me. You broke this. You're gonna fix it. I'm like, sir, like you already had it turned off, so I have no way of knowing if it was broken beforehand or not. But like either way, we need to get a well guy out here. And he just like loses it. Grabs, I think it was even my shovel. He grabs a shovel and swings it at me, and I actually had to dodge. Like, I barely missed getting impacted by that shovel. Like, it was very close to being like very bad. And I mean, a shovel at full swing to your face could kill you. And I was very so many emotions all at once. I was angry, I was scared, I was shooken up, pissed. I dodged it, and I don't even really know. It kind of like was like a blur. This guy was lucky. I actually had a legal concealed carry weapon, and I probably would have been justified to pull it out and shoot him right there, but it was his property, and I'm not looking. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to fix your freaking plumbing, and it just so quickly just went out of hand and out of control. I took off running to my van, started the van up. By this time, I had a hand on my gun just in case. I left the van doors open, freaking backed out of that driveway, and took and hauled ass out of the hill, leaving like probably $200 to $300 worth of tools there. And my van doors are flopping back. I drove like 2 miles away before I pulled over and shut it. And I was so shaken up, dude, that even by the time I was that far away, I'm like looking over my shoulders thinking this freak is going to like try to come assault me. And that was just not fair at all for me on that one. That was just, I called the home warranty and explained, and I'm like, I will never go back. And the tools are lost, so if you want to reimburse me, great. But which they ended up pitching in a little bit towards the tools that we lost. And I think they dropped his coverage because it was literally the most unsafe, like close to very physical confrontation I've probably had with a customer. And he would have hit me had I not dodged it. And it was insane. It was just out what some of you got to be careful, because you don't know where these people's minds are at. You might tell them, they may already be like on the verge of like ending it, and then you're the one to give them that last bit of bad news that now they need to spend another $3,000, and they already their wife just cheated on them or whatever. I don't know where his mind was at, but what I do know is whatever I did triggered him, and it was like he didn't care if he was going to jail. I was the guy in his way. Not good, guys. Be aware of these situations, and that's why I say back then I wasn't as confident as I am now. And now, if I started seeing somebody getting worked up about something like that, I'm backing down. I'm calming down. I would lie. I would say, yeah, sure, I'll pay for the well to get fixed. Let me go get some parts, okay? And I'll take the fuck off. Oh, sorry, excuse my language. I'll take off, because there's no need for you as a service plumber to get into that situation. And I don't know how I ended up there myself, but I do think that with experience you get better at learning the vibe of like, this guy might be a little crazy. I think I need to maybe tell a little white lie and get the heck out of here. Pack up my tools and go, because that was just, looking back, I'm like, could have gone really badly. Story number 3 is a short and sweet one. It's not nearly as scary, but it's probably a better way to end it. And this is something that I just want you guys to be aware of out there in the field, because story number 3 happened recently with one of my technicians. We were changing a water heater out for a customer I actually know really well. And his water heater failed. His water heater was accessible from an outside compartment. And he had his 2 dogs in the yard, and he's like, they're friendly. And I'd seen them before. Never were a big deal, but he'd always been there. He's like, yeah, just go in the side gate. So we go in the side gate, pull the lid off and the door off, and start draining the water heater. The dogs are sitting there not too far away, kind of in the shade. And when I went to roll up the hose after draining the water heater to put it away, this dog leaches out at me and latches onto my face, one jaw on this side, one on this side. And Caleb was there and had to like help push him off, and it drew blood. I had blood coming down my face, and it was like a healer mix, which I will say, pit bulls and healers are the bigger dogs that always want to bite. I've not had much problem with any others. Sometimes like shepherd dogs can be very dangerous, but you got to be cautious of some of these dogs, because they'll play it cool most of the time, and then there's one thing like that garden hose that just triggered him and bit me. And when that moment happens, you get really shaken up, because they move so quick. And like that's something as a plumber, I think that we encounter dogs all the time, and people are weird about their dogs. Like I love my dog, but he's a dog. He's a dog at the end of the day. And dude, there's like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't think it was like this when I was a kid, but people like dogs more than humans now, which I think is totally messed up. But like, they like put them on a pedestal, and it's like you see it all the time. Like there'll be like a random lady walking out of a store and she sees a dog and goes like 30 feet out of her way to just go like make out with somebody's dog, whereas there'd be like a human child sitting there trying to sell lemonade and no one gives them the time of day. I don't know. I think it's a little messed up. But anyways, you got to be careful because people will say like, my dog's not aggressive, he's the best dog ever. But that's because it's their personal, like, they love that dog so much that they look past the bullshit. So just a little warning that you can get bit just like I did. I think I've had 2 instances where big dogs have bitten me. The other one was a long time ago, and it was a pit bull, and it was a little more intense. But I could save that for another story. So if you like this, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.